Hello everybody, James here, Storytime with Dutch Mantell, episode 112, and Dutch, I've got one thing to say to you, Papa Mau Mau.
Oak Ridge Boys.
Yep.
Tell me that story. Tell everybody the story.
About what?
About nobody knows who they are in the UK.
No, they're not a thing over here. I just saw something on Instagram, and it was someone who made a
compilation. That's because you people are deprived.
Of country music, yeah. No one's complaining.
Do you like country music there?
No, country music isn't a big thing here at all.
Yeah, but
It's niche.
So they don't like it? It's niche.
Yeah. I'm sure, like a Willie Nelson and a Johnny Cash will filter through, but for the most part, country music isn't a thing. Or, know, maybe a Taylor Swift kind of thing. Or like
but Taylor Swift is
Hart.
Not. Yeah. But Taylor Swift is not even country. Hey, I grew up on country, and I'm a fan, but not a huge fan, but I do like it. I like all music anyway. But they have people who call themselves country music singers. It doesn't even sound like country music. I don't know what it's gone through, but it is not country music. So I would like to go back to Nashville and slap every one of those damn music executives. So, but it sucks.
Creedence Clearwater Revival. This isn't country music, but I bet it's the same thing. You know John Fogerty, the lead singer.
Yeah.
So I've seen him live. He's great live, and he very rarely tours over here. But
he would be a lot better live than he would be dead.
Oh well, yes, very much so. Wheel him out, hologram, that kind of thing. Anyway, we did some research, and it's like, he's always talking about down by the bayou and all this kind of thing, the swamp rock kind of stuff. It's like, he was born nowhere near New Orleans or anything like that.
He's a California guy.
Yeah, he hadn't sniffed 500 miles near a bayou in his life. Why is he always talking about, alligators and that? Or
it's a good song, though.
That was a great song. But
see, you just got to suspend belief. It's like watching wrestling. You just suspend belief and enjoy the show.
Absolutely, and hopefully you will enjoy the show as well. I'm going to do the very quick version of the plugs because we've got a ton.
You're in a good mood. You're in a good mood today. Why?
No, I'm a horrible mood. I'm just overcompensating.
Well, you're a good actor because you seem to be in a really, really good mood.
I'm a thespian.
And I thought you were going to say, because I'm doing the show for all our fans. Which we have, by the way, almost 121,000 now. So, folks, if you know anybody that likes wrestling, tell them to tune into the show and subscribe.
Fine thing to start off with. Pro Wrestling Tees visits there. Support the show. Facebook, Storytime with Dutch Mantell. Merch as well. I've got 2 books, one on Owen, Hart, one on The Rock. Links are in the description. Dutch has 2 books as well. The World According to Dutch and Tales from a Dirt Road. Go to Amazon. The links are in the description if you want them unsigned. If you want them signed, you go to Dirty Dutch Mantell with 2 L's at gmail.com. He also has diplomas for sale and hats for sale, all signed. Email Dirty Dutch Mantell with 2 L's at gmail.com. I have a new show with Stevie Richards, the Stevie Richards Show. Please give us a watch there. It's going from strength to strength. And the email, aside from Dirty Dutch Mantell with 2 L's at gmail.com, the other important email is questionsfordutch@gmail.com if you want to write into the show, especially with a question for the Dirty Dutchman, the crafty veteran from Oil Trough, Texas. Right, we're done with the plugs. Let's talk about some news. And you didn't even know this. Weirdly, I did for some reason. Bob Backlund, dementia battle. Apparently he's dealing with dementia. I heard this about a year ago. Apparently it's only just made its way public. Ian Drew Dice Clay on Twitter, I think we follow each other, he said, I just found out from a live signing Brett was doing, Bret Hart, that Bob Backlund has dementia and is living with his sister in Florida. Poor guy, everyone has to suffer in this profession, it seems.
Okay, who said that to Brett?
It was a Bret Hart live signing, like an online thing. So Bret Hart sort of confirmed it publicly.
Okay, I've known, we're the same age. And I knew him, I first met him in Florida, and Eddie Graham, who was notoriously always owned Florida, but he loved amateur wrestlers. That's why he loved Jack Briscoe. That's why he loved Jerry Briscoe. That's why he loved Bob Roop. He loved Bob Backlund because they were amateurs, and he loved them. And Bob, he never drew any money in Florida. And when they took him to New York, and they made him the champion. It's actually surprised me, even though I didn't know what the hell was going on in wrestling in those days. I was just following the crowd and trying to learn the profession. But I'm thinking, wait a minute, I didn't think he would do well, but he did. And he always played the straight up character. No drinking, no cussing, no this, no that. And he was like not the typical American guy, but he was, he would follow the rules and do all this stuff. And he did well. And they wanted him to, I think, turn heel toward the end of his run, and he refused, said, I don't want to do that. Hell, I didn't even know you could refuse to do stuff back in those days. I thought if they told you to do it, then hell, you kind of had to, you may not like it, but I didn't know you could actually just straight up refuse. Hell, if I'd have known that, I'd have been refusing a lot of stuff because I'd have been fired a lot more times than I was. But anyway, but I met him in Florida. Great guy. And I had a deal for him too. Somebody got with me and said, can you get these guys, because you know them, and they give me a list and telephone numbers on these guys. And I'd call them up, and I forgot what it was for now. But I was able to give them either $2,500 or $5,000 or $10,000. That's what I was. And most of the guys got 2,500s, and a few got $5,000. So when I offered the $2,500 to Bob, he said, "Oh no, that's way, way too low." I went, "Okay." So I'd wait a day just, for appearance's sake. And I called him back and I said, "Oh, I've talked it over with him," which I didn't, but they'd already authorized me to jump it to $5,000. And I jumped it to $5,000, and he turned it down again. I went, "Damn, you're going to turn down $5,000? You don't have to do nothing. Just sign a paper." And I think they were going to put out some trading cards of him or something like that. And he's the only guy that turned down the $5,000. If somebody just calls you on the phone, "Hello, yeah, I'll give you $5,000. Hey, okay, send me the paper." So I sent him another one. I didn't send him anything. I called him up again and offered him the 10. Guess what he did with the 10 offer? Mm-hmm. Turned it down too. I said, "Well, I can't offer you any more." So, but he just didn't want to. He must have had a lot of money that he could turn down $10,000. But anyway, they didn't get him on that particular line of whatever they were selling. But and Bob, like I said, I met him in Florida. Good guy. Rode by himself a lot. Trained every day. He would do like in the dressing room, he would do like at least 200 or 250 squats before his match. Like 20 minutes or 30 minutes before his match. And he'd do all those squats. The Iron Sheik used to do that too. Mm. Iron Sheik I don't think he's ever even been in a regular gym, because that's not the way he worked out. The deals that the big deals that you swing around your head.
Persian clubs, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what he did. And they're heavier than hell. I tried it one time. Damn, I almost killed myself. I got it going. Whoa. I just kept going with it. But those guys, they are really in shape. And Bob Backlund, he loved wrestling the Sheik because they were both amateur wrestlers. And so they'd go in there and try each other out. And I remember one time the Iron Sheik got really, really pissed off at, what's this guy's name? Bryan or something, Bryan. I can't even remember his name.
Where what territory are we looking at?
No, it was in Florida.
Okay.
What was his name? I don't remember. But anyway, he was an amateur wrestler too. And the Sheik threatened to stretch him. And he said, "Well, come on." He wasn't afraid of him. And I think now he may have even beat the Sheik, to tell you the truth. Because it's a different type of wrestling, I think. What was his name? Something.
Not Bob Roop, is it?
Not Bob Roop. Bryan. His father was
Oh, Blair.
Bryan Blair.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Weren't we just talking about dementia?
Hey, listen, let's go back to Bob. With that saying again, I mean, a lot of people are going to look at that and think, obviously, people not in professional wrestling or professional sports get dementia or Alzheimer's or anything like that as well. But, I mean, is it just more prevalent in pro wrestling? I mean, it'd be hard to imagine it isn't with all the knocks on the head.
I don't think it's any more prevalent in pro wrestling than it is anywhere else. I think it's more prevalent in pro football because they do hit their heads bang and I mean back and forth, and I don't think it's that prevalent in pro wrestling as it's really made out to be, to tell you the truth. But I did have a friend. He was called Jerry Novak, and he was like he had a tag team. Forgot the name, what they were called. But he wasn't from the U.S. He was from, I think Slovakia. And he came to Canada and immigrated to the U.S. and ended up in the wrestling business. But he died last year, and I think he died last year of dementia. I think his daughter talked to my daughter, and they were talking, and he was a big guy. He was about 6'2", 6'3". He weighed about 270, 280. So if he wanted to cause a ruckus, you like that word, ruckus? If he wanted to cause a ruckus, he could, because he was big, and he would shout and scream. And he'd go into one of his cycles or one of his moods, but he ended up, I think his daughter said that he was as meek as a mouse at close. He died last year, but they were having to feed him with a spoon because he couldn't. He lost use of his hands. Now, when this happens to me, I want somebody to just put a gun within a close proximity of me so I can finish the job. That's not living. That's not. And I hate to advocate somebody taking their own life, but I mean, if you're at a point where people got to hand feed you, it's time to move on down the road.
And if you'd like to apply to pull the trigger, you can write to Dirty Dutch Mantell with 2 L's. I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah.
The other guy was David Novak.
Hey, I want to tell you something. I think that was in very bad taste what you said. And you can apologize at any time. I think you offended.
Okay, so I haven't got.
You almost offended me. You almost offended me, but I'm almost unoffendable.
The other guy was David Novak. His real name was Charles Melvin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this was Jerry. This was Jerry, Bounty Hunters.
Yeah. Jerry's real name was Jaroslav Novak. So there you go. He really was called Jerry Novak. Just one more thing about Backlund. We'll move on. He started as an amateur wrestler, winning the Division 2.
And I didn't know this.
Championship, 190 pounds in 71, and that's.
Where did he go to college? What was his college?
Oh, for God's sake, it doesn't say here. Do you want me to find out?
No, I don't really care.
Okay.
I don't even know where he was from, to tell you the truth. He's from up north somewhere.
I'll tell you exactly where. Mr. Robert Louis Backlund, Princeton, Minnesota.
Okay, I got him.
Right, we are going to move on. Another health issue. John Nord. This is from PW Insider. Former WWF star John Nord, a.k.a. The Berserker, had pulled out of a series of upcoming appearances due to several health issues stemming from a knee replacement surgery. Joe Nord, John's son, told something in Minnesota that his father is facing the potential amputation of his leg.
His father?
Yeah, the son is saying this.
Oh, the son is saying about his father.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the meat of it is that he had a knee replacement. It became infected after surgery. The knee replacement surgery was redone, taken out, polished up, put back in. But by that time, the infection had spread. And apparently, if it's now in his bloodstream already, and if the infection continues to make ground in the next few weeks, they will likely have to remove the joint and potentially amputate his leg from above the knee.
Okay, he had a blood infection, sepsis.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he had, I think, because I'm not an expert on it, but that's what I had when I was in the hospital. And I had just heard of the word sepsis I never heard of the word before like 2 years ago.
It's sepsis, by the way. SIS.
Sepsis?
Yeah.
I thought it had a T in it, septis.
No.
You calling me a liar?
A bad speller, maybe, but sepsis.
It is sepsis. But, and I found out that while I was in the hospital, they did a blood transfusion on me that I didn't even know about. And they just happened to bring it up in conversation like a day or two later. I said, "What did you say I had?" And they said, "Oh, we gave you a blood transfusion." I went, "Well, thanks for telling me," because I didn't even know. But what it was, I guess, in a blood transfusion, if there's any doctors out there, you can help me with this. Do they just take your blood out and clean it? Or they put new blood in?
No, I think they put new blood in.
Yeah, that's what I heard. So, but anyway, I didn't even know about it till they told me. Hell, they could have done anything. Hell, they could have damn give me a sex change operation while I was out. Hell, I didn't know. You know, when they knock you out, you're gone. You're completely gone. But anyway, the blood infections, and I feel sorry for John's father, because John, that's one crazy son of a bitch, one crazy bastard, and hilariously funny. I used to make trips with him. We would start laughing when we pulled out of the driveway, wherever, or the apartment complex, wherever we were. And we would laugh all the way going to the town, and we would laugh all the way going back. So making a trip with John wasn't like going to work. It was like going to a comedy club minus the alcohol. But funny as hell. And I hadn't talked to him in a long time. He would be a good guest on this show, wouldn't he?
He would be. I think at some point we actually talked about getting him on, and for whatever reason, I think we just stopped the idea of having guests. We are going to be having some guests, I think, in a few weeks' time. But we had a guest like every month at one point, and then we just found that it was just easy just to do the news, I guess. But yeah, you've said about John Nord more than once that he'd be a great guest, and so I'm led to believe he would be.
And you've heard of the infamous fight he had with Butch Reed.
Yes. Oh, yes, we talked about. So did you only hang about John Nord in Mid-South, or did you hang around?
No, that's the only place I was around him. Is in the Mid-South.
I'm just looking for something else.
I was never anywhere else where he was. I'd have been with him.
You know the funny thing is that my dad, so when I was getting my knee looked at, my dad came with me to an appointment, and he asked about knee surgery or knee replacement surgery. And the doctor told him, basically, it will cost like 20-something grand, and this is pounds, not dollars. So I think it'd be like £20,000, and there's only 50% chance they would actually make your problems go away, or, it would alleviate the issues. And the other 50%, it could stay the same or even get worse. So like knee replacement surgery really isn't the be-all and end-all of surgeries for knee issues, apparently.
I had it.
Oh, yeah?
And going along with your theory, which is not a theory, 2 months later, I stood up and I was stretching. This is 2 months after my surgery. And I was stretching this way and stretching this way. And I was picking one leg up and stretching it out. But when I had it on my left leg, my left knee. So when I put my right leg up and I'm stretching out, I just fell straight down. And I found out later the femur, which is the biggest bone in the body, it goes from the knee to the hip, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I broke it in 2 places. That's a pretty hell of a break, a tremendous break to break that bone in 2 places.
So when you fell, do you think it was like the knee replacement leg giving way? Or was it just losing balance? So
I think it was, I don't know why I fell, because I wasn't off balance. I was holding on. And I just straight down. But the thing is this, I don't know why, it didn't hurt. And I'm thinking, shouldn't I be screaming or something? But it didn't hurt. I don't know why. And I can move it this way. I was checking it. I was laying flat on the ground, flat on the floor, and I moved it to the right. It moved, and I brought it back to the middle where I got it and ready to go again. I moved it to the left. I could pull my knee back up and then stretch it back out, but I couldn't lift it up. That's because it wasn't connected to nothing. So, and I went to the doctor, and the doctor says, well, have they told you you've broken your leg? I said, well, no, since you're the only doctor I've seen, wouldn't it be your job to tell me I've broken my leg? And they didn't even set it that day. They set it the next day. So he said it. And from that point on, my leg never really worked the same way at all.
Did the other
and I was going to have an operation on it about 3 years ago during the pandemic. And the doctor told me that I was going to do the surgery. He says, I'm not really 100% sure on this surgery. Now, when the doctor says he's not 100% sure, that's a good reason to back off of it. And I backed off. So, and I still need the operation, but now the doctor scared me and I didn't get it. So if you see me around anywhere, people, at a signing, which I haven't done any signings in about a year and a half or so now, and I'm kind of limping around, now you know why.
John Nord, his son, has started a GoFundMe campaign to assist in his medical bills, and essentially he may need to get his leg lopped off if the infection continues. So, best wishes to John. Some more happy news. I asked you beforehand and said, did you watch any of SummerSlam 2024? And you went, yes, you watched all of it. So I was really pleased with that. Give us
I did watch all of it. Look, I got a comment the other day from a fan, and they were brimming with, very accusatory and kind of bad intentioned, that said that you and I'm glad he said you're worse than I am sometimes. But when it comes to WWE and AEW, we're just lambasting, and I may have said this last week, we were lambasting AEW at every nook and cranny that we ran into in the kitchen. And everything that WWE did is, it was just great. So, and they wondered, were we being paid by WWE?
If only.
I wish I'd do it a lot more. Mm-hmm. And I told that person, I said, there's a reason for that, because AEW basically is nowhere near the level that WWE is right now. Nowhere near it. But back to SummerSlam. SummerSlam to me, and it was the first full pay-per-view I have watched in about, 20 years, I guess. I watched bits and parts of it because I've seen so many wrestling matches. Unless it's got a great story, I don't want to see it. But they had all these stories, and they brought it together at SummerSlam. And this may be Triple H's, he runs it, but he doesn't run every storyline, but it's run by him. But they got great storylines, and they advanced it. Every angle on that card was advanced or moved a little bit, and a lot of belts changed hands. So on the other podcast I do on Sportskeeda, I was asked who's going to win this match and what do you think is going to happen. I was 7 out of 7, and the only thing I missed were they asked, do you think Roman Reigns would show up? And I said, well, it would be a great opportunity for him to show up, but I said I think they will save that for TV. but they didn't. That's the only one I missed. But, and now ask me what match I enjoyed the most.
In fact, I'm looking at this, I bet it's Gunther and Damian Priest you enjoyed the most.
No.
Really? Okay.
No.
Oh, then it'll be Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I love anything to do with love stories. And I think that little Liv Morgan she's as cute as a doll. Of course, she knows it. Everybody else knows it. And I suggested that Dom, first I saw it two ways. I said, they could almost turn Liv Morgan babyface and make Rhea and Dominic heels. They went in there just the opposite. They could have done that if they wanted to. But I thought that Dom would turn on Rhea and really, really, screw her over. So everybody, he's easy to hate anyway. You got that little mustache and he's got that smile on. And that happened, and they were covered up in heat. The people, they really wanted to see them. And that's what you want. You want the fans really they want to see Dominic and Liv get their asses handed to them on a silver platter. And that's the way you want heel. But that was the match I enjoyed the most. And you wouldn't think that would open the show, but it opened the show because an old time booker, several of them told me that don't open with your main event, but open with the match that's going to get them off their ass. And that got them up and got them moving. Now, I also read that Rhea Ripley, she ripped her shoulder out in that match.
Did she
Is
really?
that true?
I don't know.
That's what I heard.
Okay.
She was adjusting it several times during the match. I did see that.
Just says Rhea Ripley pops her shoulder back into place during, that's from WWE.com staff as well. So apparently she may have suffered a new injury. I don't know how I missed this one. It says in the first match of SummerSlam 2024, this is from Newsweek, Rhea Ripley dislocated her shoulder when Liv Morgan threw her into the turnbuckle. Immediately, viewers could tell that something was wrong. Ripley continued to yell, it's out, as she ran out of the ring. Do you think it's real, or do you think this is all storyline?
See, that's the beauty about pro wrestling. Is it real or is it not? Now, if she had to put it back in place, which I've heard that could be done, because I'm too much of a wussy if that ever happened to me, I wouldn't even mess with it. I'd just pass out. I'd just be gone. I don't know why.
One of my friends years ago, right, ended up in hospital where, like, his I think he had like a chronic condition where his shoulder would constantly pop out and have to be put in. And for whatever reason, it was really difficult to put it in, so the doctor actually had to kick it back in.
Really?
Yeah, this was years ago. But yeah, actually, the doctor, he was on the...
A doctor that kicked me, I said, wait a minute, did you play soccer at the university, the medical school?
Well, he did this first. He was like, for just measuring it up and then, kick in.
Man. But I really enjoyed that match. I really enjoyed getting my accolades later because how did you get every match? Because even your experts said, oh, no, they won't change all these belts at one time. Well, it's got to be unpredictable. What had happened to WWE before, you could almost just, even a casual fan could look down and say, yeah, this happened. But to change, I think they changed like 4 belts. And it was good.
I'm just reading this. This seems to indicate that, no, it was a planned thing. For full disclosure, I've not seen SummerSlam. I will watch it, but I've just had so much going on. I haven't had time to
Now, you're going to watch it because of what? Of my telling you about it, my recommendation.
But any free time I've had, I've been watching the Olympics. I love the Olympics. I never miss the Olympics, so SummerSlam's taken a backseat.
Oh, the Olympics pissed me off. They did.
We'll talk about the Olympics a little later on, but let's go through the SummerSlam.
No, you won't.
No, we won't.
You're just saying that to appease me.
Yes, I am.
Oh, we'll talk about it later. And then you say, well, we got to wrap it up. We got to go. We'll see you later. We the people. And we're gone. Well, I know. Hey, James, I figured you out, buddy.
Okay, at the end, we'll talk about the Olympics, I promise you. We'll go through this now. Bron Breakker, Sami Zayn. It was a bit of an interesting one because Bron Breakker actually lost to Sami Zayn recently. Then they did a rematch, and then only 5 minutes.
Now,
40.
now you know why he lost. See, I thought at the time, I said I wouldn't be having Braun Breaker losing these matches before the pay-per-view, but he lost that, and because they were going to switch it over at the pay-per-view, which is good, which is fine.
LA Knight defeated Logan Paul. So
Good match, too.
I believe
Good
Logan
match.
Paul is continuing to impress. LA Knight, one of your favorites. That was it.
He's one of my favorites.
I thought LA Knight was one of your favorites, or he was at the time. Anyway.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah?
No, he's good. But he always could talk. And see, what amazes me about LA Knight is he started so late in life. He got to start. He's 45 now, isn't he?
I don't think he's quite that old. Maybe 42.
I think he's older than that.
Okay.
Look it up.
41.
Oh yeah, he's not 45. I was going to say he's 40. That's what I meant to say. See how I'm trying to clean up my own mistake here?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, folks, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm making up like damn everybody else makes it up, but at least I know some of these guys. But
you met some of them.
But 40. I mean, getting on the main roster in WWE at 40, which is 40 is not like 40 10 years ago or 15 years ago. 40 now is the new 30, I guess. But and he got on there. They liked him, but he's always a pretty good talker. See, that's what they had with WWE a long time. They had these big animals, but none of them could talk worth a shit. And unless you can talk, hey, Stone Cold tell you, he said, I wasn't even the top 5 of even the most capable wrestlers in WWE. He said out of a class of 50, as far as wrestling ability, I was probably like 45. And he will admit that, but he could talk, he had a presence, and he connected. So, hey, who was the guy in NXT that never talked? Lester Dumas, what's his name in NXT?
Oh, Dexter Lumis, yeah.
Dexter Lumis. So he came to TNA when I was there and wanted a job, and I wanted to hire him, and nobody else wanted to hire him. But the guy had something. I could tell it just by
It was the mustache, wasn't it?
They were just something there that I felt. Now, see, that's what creative has to do. You have to take what you feel and accent the hell out of it. So you want the people at home to feel the same thing that I felt when I talked to him. I liked him a lot. And if it was up to me, I would have hired him on the spot.
Next match, Nia Jax versus Bayley. So Nia Jax actually had a bit of a career resurgence, really. She's gone from someone who just kept killing people in the ring to someone who's getting quite a lot of respect as an in-ring presence these days. And it seems to happen over the course of a year.
Yeah. And her story with Tiffany is a great story. And what are we waiting on? And all fans know this. You won't, like I've always said, don't tell these stories that, tell it so simply that a 10-year-old kid or 8-year-old kid can understand it. Then you'll and all the people will understand it. So what we're waiting for, probably by next WrestleMania, it will be Tiffany and Nia Jax. Or is it Nia Jax? Nia?
Either way.
Okay, not Nia Jax, which will be a great match. Because I'm in that Nia Jax, I don't know what that woman weighs. And I'm not, you're not supposed to bring up the poundage of a woman, but she really, really can move. And of course, she's got whatever her weight is. I'm sure it's over 250. But hard to control that weight once it gets to moving. And she has hurt several people, I've heard, but not on purpose, of course. And where was she trained at? NXT?
I figure so.
Well, she's Samoan, so she probably was trained since she was about age 3.
Yeah, she's probably born into just sort of knowing certain things.
Maybe even born in a ring.
So she worked as a plus-size model prior to pro wrestling. So she was signed to WWE in early 2014, and yes, she was trained in NXT, the WWE Performance Center.
And where is she from?
She was born in Sydney, New South Wales. So, but she was raised in Hawaii.
So she was born in
maybe
Australia?
She was born this way.
Australia?
Yeah, but she was raised in Hawaii. So, and she's a second cousin once removed of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. We're gonna, before we get through her entire family tree, let's move on to the next one. Drew McIntyre. I've heard a lot of different opinions about this match. Drew McIntyre defeating CM Punk by pinfall with Seth Rollins as the guest referee. What do you make of it all? And fighting over the bracelet.
Well, I didn't get the bracelet. Maybe I missed some shows. I don't know what the bracelet means.
It's like I think it's like a commemorative bracelet to commemorate CM Punk's dog Larry and his wife April. So that's it, really. You know.
Oh, I love that. But see, you got to be a fan would know that. A fan that has followed the story, they know that. And that little bracelet now takes on added significance. Me, I'm the dumbass. But after I saw that, I'm thinking, what the hell does the bracelet have to do with anything? So now I start looking it up and I kind of understand it now. But I don't think that match was as good as everybody is making it out to be. It was okay. But see, let's take the match, say it wasn't as good, but the story behind it is better than the match. That's why you got to tell the story. Unless there's a story there, If there wasn't a story when they went to when they went out to the ring, the people would say, "Well, I got to get a Coke, or I'm gonna go up here and I'm gonna smoke a cigarette, or I'm gonna, in my case, smoke a cigar."
You don't smoke, just chew it.
No, I don't. I can't smoke cigars. They knock me out. I go. A lot of people don't know this, but I'm really a wussy at heart. So, but I kind of like this, sitting around like that, and then people don't know. They don't know what to think of it.
Chew like the leaves around it, the wrapping and that kind of thing, and I don't get that.
But you can't chew on the leaves because it'll make you sick too. I don't even know why I even mess with it. I just like the look of a cigar.
Well, I do the same thing, right? I've got a Sharpie here that I don't ever use, but I just like to gnaw on it occasionally. I think it's just one of those. What has got idle hands of the devil's plaything? Maybe that's just something to keep us busy, I suppose. Here's a question, right? Guest referees, to keep it back in wrestling. Guest referees, specifically, what do you think of Seth Rollins' performance? Was he involved too much or not enough? And what is a sort of like rule for booking a guest referee match to keep it entertaining, but not detract too much from the match itself?
Oh, he was entertaining as hell because they have showed back. See, he had a camera and a mic. He's mic'd up. And he was doing something to him. I think CM Punk was doing something to Drew, running his head into the steps, but Seth was standing in the ring looking down on him, and he said, "Hey, it's okay with me." "Hey, what you had there, buddy?" And he was letting everything go, which is entertaining to me when they play it back. When they play it back, it is more entertaining than the match. So I liked it. Again, that was one of the stories, or one of the matches I didn't really understand, and it was okay. But maybe if I'd, Seth, I think Seth has found himself in a position now where they're using him to advance a lot of other people. Now, how long has he been there? He's been there 10 years.
More, I'd say. I think 2012 maybe. He
Yeah,
debuted on the main roster. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
What do you think? You think they're putting him out to pasture? We're going to talk. We're going to talk
no.
about Bronson Reed in a bit, but I mean, he attacked Seth Rollins as well, didn't he? So he seems to be, in that position at the moment.
And he, see, that's what happens when you're really over as a babyface, and they're all of a sudden they're inundated with a lot of other baby faces that need to be pushed over the incumbent, say like Seth. And Seth would find himself in a position to where he's a stepping stone for that up and coming heels to get by him to move up. And he understands that. He's still making the same amount of money. So, and it's a business. And I think he understands that. So, but they need somebody in the role that he's in now, somebody who means something or meant something a lot at one time, still means quite a bit, and he'll be used for those top heels to beat or to go over. So, which helps the top heel. That's what you want.
Next one, semi-main event, was Gunther defeating Damian Priest by technical submission for the World Heavyweight Championship. I just thought you picked this just because I know how much you like Gunther.
Oh, yeah, it was a good match. Really good match. I forgot how it ended now. All I know is Gunther went over. How did he go over?
I'm just having a look here. Continued to assault Balor. Gunther put him into another chokehold, this time forcing the referee to call the match, awarding Gunther the World Heavyweight Championship. He viciously attacked Balor. Anyway, Judgment Day break up as well in that one, so it's a fairly big deal, and it bled into Raw, which I gather... I've just not watched anything this week. I've just been so busy with stuff. I gather that they basically split Judgment Day into two now. Anyway, and Rhea Ripley's joined with Damian Priest. Anyway, the main event was Cody Rhodes defeating Solo Sikoa by pin for Bloodline Rules match. Sort of a difficult one in the sense that I don't think anyone went in there thinking Solo Sikoa was going to win.
No. Okay, wrestling fans, again, everybody understood what had to happen during this match. I think that... And it was covered up by the Roman Reigns story anyway. I mean, that was all over it. So if you're thinking, even I think the 10-year-old kid the mysterious 10-year-old kid that I talk about, he has to say, oh, well, Cody has to win because Roman's coming back and nobody can, and Roman has unfinished business with Cody. And he has unfinished business with Solo. So right now, Roman is in the best position he can be because he's an outlier and he's a tweener. He's really a babyface, but he can still go heel if he wanted to be. He's in the best position I think he's ever been in. And I think WWE is... And I've said this before, that's what the guy jumped on me for, said I always side with WWE. And I do, because I think they've done a masterful job of getting all these characters over at the same time. Now they don't have wrestlers, they have personalities. Everybody has their own unique personality, their quirks, and people understand them. It's almost like a neighbor that you may see from a distance, but you know he does certain things on certain days, or he acts this way. You can actually predict him, and that's what WWE has. They have a bunch of characters, personalities that you can, and they're all different. So who are you talking about that they put over with Seth? The guy gave him 6.
Oh, we'll get there soon enough. That was Bronson Reed, but we will get there soon enough. There's one more thing I wanted to ask you about. A lot of people have been suggesting, I don't know why, that Jacob Fatu, so he does the splash onto Cody Rhodes on the table again. He did it the day before at SmackDown. It went fine. He does it again, SummerSlam. It doesn't go fine. Hits his ankle. We believe hits his leg or his shin or whatever it is, or his ankle on the table. Appears to be injured. He is spotted wearing a walking boot in a convenience store like after the show or the day after. I think it was after the show. But a lot of people, wrestling news journalists were speculating that it might be a worked injury. And I don't quite know why they'd come to that idea, considering that they're
I'll tell you why.
Well,
because they're marks.
Yeah. But Jacob Fatu's an unstoppable monster. Why would you then have him like fake an ankle injury and be carried out by referees?
That makes no sense. Yeah. Unless they're going to do it for him to get beat somewhere down the line, he just goes back to selling. But see, that's a lot of work for one spot. You could do that inside a match. But I think he legitimately got hurt. I think. Because even if you look at the move he did, he comes off the top turnbuckle and down to the table where Cody was. And he got hurt. And he sold it right away. Usually, I mean, he grabbed it right away. So either somebody told him it was a word. Somebody said, oh, you got to grab it right away. I don't think they think that far ahead. I think they say, get up and just start limping on it. No, he grabbed it. And then he didn't get up. He couldn't even get up because he ended up sitting down behind what used to be the desk. It was collapsed at this point. He couldn't even stand up. So to me, if you ask me, which you just did, whether it was work or not, I'm going to say no. I don't think it was. But what a great athlete he is. Tremendous. So, and those athletes, those Samoan athletes, if they can't make it in wrestling, you know what they make it in? Football. A lot of Samoan guys in football, and they're really good. And I don't think they're the way they were brought up, that they bitch a lot, they complain a lot. No, they just gonna play the game, and that's what they want them to do. That's where they're raised. So.
A couple more notes on SummerSlam. Stephanie McMahon, Triple H was at the post pay-per-view scrum, your favourite thing, the press conference, says that Triple H said that Stephanie turns up to the shows because she loves it, and then asked that, would she ever come back, and essentially said, hey, when the kids are older, she may come back. There's one other thing I want to mention, is that Zilla Fatu, who is making a name for himself on the indies at the moment, he was spotted in the SummerSlam crowd, just as a ticket buying fan like everybody else. So Zilla was promoted for a UPW wrestling show in Michigan on Saturday and GCW's New Jersey show on Sunday. However, he missed both shows.
He was promoted on the show?
Yeah, he was the headliner for the Saturday show. Yeah, they
showed him in the crowd.
No, this is just some guy just looked behind him and took a clandestine. I know you like that word. Photo of him.
I love that word.
Yeah.
This is an educational experience, really, for a lot of people. It is for me.
I am so glad. There's a word that Mercedes Mone in the next story uses that I'd never heard before, so we'll discover that one together. But anyway, Fightful Select said that Zilla Vatu ended up having travel delays and cancellations that would put him at the show on time, or not put him at the show on time. I don't know how he couldn't make the GCW one on Sunday, though, but I mean, there's been a lot of flights cancelled of recent. What's going on there?
I think it's something about the computers.
Oh, still?
Yep.
Maybe it was
because they're getting hacked by the Chinese.
Is it the Chinese?
That's what they say.
Well, it used to be the Russians. They've let the game slip.
The Russians are too drunk on vodka to even do it anymore.
No, fair enough then. All right, we are going to move on. Mercedes Moné divorce. So we talked about this a few weeks ago, Dutch, where Mercedes was just talking absolute crap about her husband, and we were all just sat there thinking, why would she make her husband look like such a pile of shit? Yeah. And anyway, apparently it's because they're getting divorced. So Mercedes Moné has confirmed that she has divorced her husband of nearly 8 years, saying, quote unquote, I'm free. I'm just trying to look at the thing there as well. There we go. In a new video posted to a YouTube channel on Thursday, Mone confirmed that she had signed papers to finalise her divorce from WWE costume designer Sarath Ton, a former indie wrestler who worked under the ring as whatever it is. Mercedes opened up as to the details of her divorce and a pilot for a new video series. So keep in mind that she's promoting her divorce announcement on the pilot of a new video series. There's going to be a few quotes, so bear with me. That's part of why I wanted to do this pilot, because tomorrow, finally, after a long, long time, I'll be finally signing my divorce papers. I'm excited, happy, and for me, I'm just ready to be free. I'm ready to be free of not being afraid. Okay? Mone went on to explain that the couple have been separated since the end of 2020, but she kept the news private for a variety of reasons. So for long, I've kept the secret because of how fast life has been going and so much that has been happening in wrestling and everything. And I just didn't want the outside world to judge or say anything, especially during the time that all this was happening. We've been separated, blah, blah, blah. I was shooting The Mandalorian, blah, blah, blah. Mone praised her now ex-husband, crediting him for saving her life. I'm getting a divorce, and Sarath, my ex-husband, now we have such a great relationship, and he's such an amazing, incredible guy I'm so thankful for. And he's another person who changed me and saved my life. But I'm excited to be free and to say that I'm finally getting a divorce. So anyway,
What?
He's just a wonderful guy.
He's such an amazing guy, and he saved her life. But hey, I just want to be free. I just want to be away from him.
Well, here's where the new word comes in. She didn't tell Vince or WWE because she didn't know how Vince was going to react, or you don't know what he's going to change because Vince McMahon is very ... I was in a storyline with Bianca Belair, Carmella, and Carmella's sommelier. Do you know what a sommelier is, Dutch?
I think it's a guy. I think that is a protector. Or
no, it's a wine waiter.
Oh, okay. It's a guy, though.
Apparently so. Well, this one was Reggie.
But I have read that word before, but
never.
Usually I look it up, but I didn't. But I've read that before. I have looked that up before, but I've forgotten. I don't. A wine waiter, I don't have much time to spend with them or around them. I don't drink wine anyway.
So anyway, yeah, I don't know what it was about. She just starts going on about how Vince was obsessed with. A year goes by and I still. Right, okay. Oh my God, he wanted us to be together. So apparently, I don't know, in storyline or real life or whatever.
Wait a minute. Who wanted them to be together?
Vince McMahon wanted, apparently, Mercedes Moné and the sommelier to be together. So me and Sarath, her now ex-husband, or Sarath, decided we were going to keep this a secret, and then a year goes by and I still didn't want to say anything, and there comes the WWE walkout, etc. What a depressing video.
No shit. But have you ever seen her husband?
Yeah.
Okay, here's the story. Story time with Dutch. I'm sitting there one day when I was with WWE, and she was down there at a table, like looking at colors or looking at patterns or looking at something, and he was there, and I think he works, he's a seamstress or something. Yeah. And I asked Jack Swagger, I said, who's that guy with Mercedes down there? And he went, that's your husband. I went, what? That guy is her husband? He said, yeah. That's not, he's an ugly little bastard anyway. I mean, and I don't know him. He could be a great guy, but him and her looked like the most unnatural people to ever find each other and get together. I didn't get it. I mean, he didn't match her, you know.
He was punching. He was punching, is what you're saying. Punching above his weight.
Yeah, punching up. Yeah, exactly. But, and he's not much bigger than she is. I guess so she could beat the shit out of him at night, I guess, so she can bounce him around the room, you know, and drop kick him and slam him and all this stuff. But anyway, he didn't look like he belonged on the same team as she was on. And now I find out that they never really like to call the same plays. So I don't know. They didn't look like they belonged together.
What I got out of this was Mercedes Moné's kept this under wraps for 4 years, but she decided this would be the perfect time to announce the divorce and basically parlay that into advertising for a new video series.
Yeah.
It's like, man, why'd you do that?
Why'd you do what?
Why would you just like turn your divorce as, hey, I'm getting divorced, you can hear all about it on my first video in my new series of da-da-da-da-da. It's like, that's so depressing.
Oh, yeah.
I know we're not fans of Mercedes Moné on this show.
No,
but
I am not a fan of hers. I think her interviews are horrible. They are just horrible. She tries to, I think, stay in character, and I just can't get with her.
You'll remember as well a few weeks ago that Mercedes was talking about that horrible outfit that her husband lovingly made her and how, she screamed at him and then cried her eyes out and stuff like that as well. So maybe actually I think what's happened is she's done him a massive favour.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. I'll agree with you, but if she's not happy, okay, fine. Get her divorced and move on.
Start a podcast.
Do a podcast.
Yeah.
How many people you think do podcasts today?
I mean, somehow probably more than the population of the Earth. There's just far too many.
There's 8 billion people on Earth, and 7,500,000,000 have podcasts.
Tell me about it. We will move on. All Elite Wrestling, AEW, and Warner Brothers Discovery exclusive rights negotiations period done. So this is really a two-tiered story that I wanted to bring up to you, Dutch. So I was listening to Dave Meltzer for months.
Why?
Well, because I like to
annoy
myself.
Why were you listening to that horse-faced bastard?
I like to annoy myself sometimes. And there's increasingly over the weeks, he was getting more condescending and more smug about, those people who want AEW to fail. Nobody wants maybe the odd maniac out there, but nobody who matters in life wants AEW. We don't. It's great for everyone to be paid. And, there needs to be an alternative. Anyway, the point is, he's saying, well, we, and he does use the word we. The subject's pronoun we.
Which means more than one.
Mm-hmm. So he's saying me and AEW when he says we. He never says that with WWE, but he does say that with AEW on occasion. Listen to Wrestling Observer Radio. You will catch it in some of the old ones. He says, we will see who's right and who's wrong, in regards to what AEW will be getting from Warner Brothers Discovery. And, hey, maybe those detractors will be wrong. And maybe, actually, Tony Khan's got this fantastic deal that, will be announced any second now. That was months ago. Mm-hmm. Now that the exclusive negotiating period with WBD is done. And here's something else I found out today, is that Warner Brothers Discovery is apparently, they reported this on themselves, I believe, are worth $9 billion less than they thought they were. So WB, and they're also chasing the NBA as well. They're chasing the NBA package that have gone to Amazon Prime at the moment. So, I mean, WBD, they own like True TV, they own Discovery.
They haven't signed that. I thought Amazon had that locked up, the NBA package.
They're suing. They probably do, but they're suing anyway because they have a right to match the offer that Amazon made them.
Mm-hmm.
So the point is that whatever numbers Tony Khan is feeding Dave Meltzer, they're obviously false numbers to a point, because this was months ago and Meltzer seemed very confident that something was going to happen, and clearly nothing has happened. So now where does this leave them?
So you're saying that Dave Meltzer is being worked by Tony Khan?
I genuinely think so, yeah. I think so. He's been feeding him numbers. Oh, it's going to be great. Oh, it's going to be this. It's going to be that. Then Dave Meltzer's saying publicly these same things. And
what is the amount that AEW is getting from Warner Brothers? I guess. Is that who they're with?
Yeah. That's a good question. I mean, I think I looked it up last. It's like 120 million a year ever since Collision came out. By the way, it's like 120 million a year. I mean, I did some calculations. They're probably losing about $20 million a year still. So they do need a bump in rights fees to make it worthwhile. But
120 million is not nothing.
Yeah, hey, maybe it's 100. I don't know. I can't remember the numbers off today. It doesn't matter. They're losing money still. They need a bump in. They need an increase to break even.
So let me ask you this: the NBA, they're not as popular now as they were 10 years ago.
Apart from the NFL, nothing is though.
Wrestling.
WWE's bucking the trend, but if you're talking 10 years ago, then no, nowhere near. As far as TV ratings, but it's 10 years is a life. 10 lifetimes in TV ratings these days.
Yeah, but see, with all the streaming and all this, I don't even know how they get that. How they figured this out. You need a PhD in mathematics just to figure any of it out. Because I don't get it. I don't understand it. And even when they start talking about the percentages of 0.12 or whatever, I don't even know how they get that low. I'm completely baffled by it, and I make no secret of it. I don't understand it. I don't think anybody else does either.
No, it can be a bit random, I understand. Now, that's not to say that WBD can't offer something else. It doesn't matter that, like FX might offer something that's worth AEW to move. We don't know. We'll see. That was just more a point that, Dave Meltzer pretty much exclusively seems to be having an inside line with Tony Khan and sort of talking the AEW party line.
But doesn't he deny that?
Yeah, of course he does.
Wasn't he on the payroll at one time, or is that misinformation?
That's a rumor, but you know what? The more and more I hear it, the less I'm inclined to not believe it, because he keeps using the word "we." It's like when talking about AEW. It's like we are doing this, yeah.
So he's tipping his hand.
It could be. I don't know.
You should get him in a poker game.
I'm playing poker tomorrow as well. I'm inviting him round. Okay, there's another thing as well. Tony Khan gave another interview with whoever and said the following: right now, it's the most important time ever in AEW. We're on the verge of the most important deal we'll ever make, this upcoming media rights deal, which is fine and well and good. But then he says this: over 5 years, it's really been building to this point where AEW is going to jump into the media rights and be a very profitable, successful company that has lived up to every expectation we could ever have had, because we've done so many amazing things. But okay. Here's a bit. We've done pay-per-view numbers, whether adjusted or straight up, however you want to look at it, head-to-head, very strong compared to the last few years of WCW. And I think that's really a success story.
That's 20 years ago.
There's more.
Huh?
They closed in 2001. It was 20... Yeah, okay, it's 20-odd years ago, right? And he's comparing himself to the last few years of WCW. So if he's comparing himself to last year, then WCW was averaging about 60,000 buys per show for pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And let's not forget that WCW suffered the biggest crash of any major wrestling promotion in the history of the business. So he's comparing himself to that. But also he uses the word few, which means 3 or more maybe. Mm-hmm. So therefore, if you compare to 1998 WCW, which is still within the remit, then no, AEW was doing far less pay-per-view buys than WCW were, less than half. And WCW had more in a year as well. I love going through all these like quotes and numbers and just sort of just like breaking them down and just saying, that's bullshit, dude. Stop lying.
Now, would you tell him bullshit to his face?
Yes, I don't think he could physically do it.
We need to bring him on this show and you say, Tony, the bullshit stops here. Now, I want the truth straight up from you, or if you don't give me the truth, when you come to London for that big show,
I could do.
I'm going to meet you outside the gates and I'm going to beat the crap out of you.
He would be in fear for his life. He would not turn up, you know that. He says one more quote as well. It's a really interesting business point that our business on pay-per-view has continued to get stronger. No, it hasn't. The numbers are trending downwards. The only way it's got stronger is because they've put out more pay-per-views in a single year. So, but ultimately, like per show, it's trending downwards. So, I don't know why he feels the need to lie so much about this. I mean, WWE.
He's in the wrestling business.
I know. He's got one thing right: just lie about stuff.
Now, do you like Tony?
I honestly don't care about him one way or the other.
But you've never met him.
No.
But you can tell right now that if you did meet him, you probably wouldn't like him.
I'd probably be frustrated by him because he... Have you ever heard an interview with him?
No, I've met him and talked to him. Very pleasant guy. Very, he's very, friendly, and he's talking, and he does love wrestling. I will say that.
Okay, I'll say this then. It's not Tony, because every CEO, every businessman, they always spin the numbers to make it more beneficial to them. Here's the problem, is that no one who ever interviews Tony ever challenges him on anything he says, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, but I've heard that if you do challenge him a little bit, he will go and give you the same answer, but word it differently. And I've heard in one conversation, he will answer the question 4 times, but with different words and a different attack on it. But he's basically saying the same thing that he said the first time.
Yeah, it's all the business doublespeak. I mean, Triple H is no good at this either, by the way. With all these press conference scrums and stuff, he comes out with some terrible answers. So, we're not trying to play favourites with this, but with Tony, it's so frustrating when it's like, dude, just say one thing honestly. And it's always spin. It's like, yeah, pay-per-view numbers are down. Yeah, but it's like, oh, the ratings are fantastic. Rampage and Collision, and they're trying to blame the Olympics for this, which it can't be, because I don't know when the Olympics are even broadcast in the States. I thought it was already over by 10 p.m., but maybe there's replays, I don't know. But they're both under 200,000 views, 200,000 viewership. It's like, goddamn, I've done loads of YouTube videos that have done better than that.
So what's under 200,000 views?
Rampage and Collision last week.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. So I don't think that's the Olympics. I don't think. No. What else was on? Nothing?
Well, on Saturday with Collision, SummerSlam was later.
McDonald's was open late.
The sun was out.
Yeah, and the street lights came on, and that had a negative effect on it.
Yeah. But it's constant spin, and it's just especially because
TNA did better than this group.
TNA always got like 1.1 million, didn't they? Or like a 1.1 rating and 1.5 million every week.
Yeah, but see, that was like $1.5 million. One rating was like $1.5 million in those days. So, but it's a different format. It's the landscape has changed from 20 years ago and now.
Britt Baker suspended, but then returns. So it's like no one even missed her.
Well, I heard her interview, and she was suspended and then reinstated, correct?
Yeah, within 2 weeks or a week? That was quick.
I think it's a week. I think he suspended her, and the next day he let her come back in.
That must have stung that. You're suspended for 6 days.
And it turns into 2 hours. We're going to put you back in. So
okay. Well, you sent me this. You know the story then, so you tell us what happened with Britt and MJF to cause this suspension.
This is what I've just read like everybody else, because I think Tony has tried to shut the door on this and not to let it out. Apparently, when they went, when MJF and what's the guy's name? Ospreay?
Yep.
Will Ospreay. They went that 59 minutes and 30 seconds match, or with 10 seconds left, the bell rings. Well, they took up, the most of the hour. And I think she was pissed off that they took up too much of the TV time. And she went back to the dressing room and openly expressed her frustration over them getting so much more time than the girls. Well, unbeknownst or could be known that one of the announcers is MJF's girlfriend. And she could not wait to get out of that dress room and to go tell him. Well, when she told him, then he came over in the girls' locker room, and I don't think guys are allowed in there or something.
No, he knocked and asked to go in.
He knocked, yes, he was very polite, knocked and asked could he come in. But when he came in there, I think he and the girl, what's her name we talking about? Britt Baker. They had words. He got pissed off. And he wanted to know if she had a problem, I guess. I don't know. And then he busted a wall, or what did he hit?
He punched a wall and a corridor down from the locker room.
And what good does that do? He punched it.
Have you known people to do this? Because in my life, I've known several people to do this, and I don't understand what the thing is.
Who's it hurt?
Yeah.
He's not punching anybody. He just bam.
Yeah.
But anyway, somebody ran to Tony, and Tony, being the take charge type guy he is, immediately turned it over to his disciplinary committee, which is headed by Bryan Danielson and two people who are not even, I guess, employees of the company. Turned it over to them, and they took some statements from some people who were there, and it resulted in Britt Baker being suspended for 1 or 2 weeks. I've never heard anybody be suspended and said, "Oh, we're going to suspend you for a week." No, or maybe 2. Well, what is it? Is it a week or is it 2 weeks? Well, we'll let you know. according to how we meet this week, and we hash it out, and we'll let you know when the first suspension is up and whether we're going to go the second week with it. But I don't get it. So, see, Tony needs to he needs to, and I've said this 100 times, maybe not on this show, but if you're going to own a company, take it, run it, take charge of it.
Well, is he taking charge? I mean, he suspended her for a week or 2 weeks.
No, that was the committee doing it. And he just said, "Okay, I don't want to deal with it." And he didn't want to deal with it. I don't think Tony wants everybody. He wants everybody to like him, which they like him fine because he's supplying the money. But except he's not supplying us with money.
No.
That's why we dog him every time we get a chance. Yeah, now, if he'd come across with some money, hey, funny how that
very favorable.
Oh my God, we'd love him to death.
Tony did a great job suspending.
Oh yeah, it was great. Yeah. But it's not Tony. But it's not Tony's fault.
No.
If we got some money, because it's all these other people, they're messing it up, and he's trying to straighten it out. Nobody should have. But anyway.
Okay, in all seriousness, is this a good thing she's suspended for a week for shit disturbing in the locker room, or has it been blown out? Because do you remember a couple of years ago, like the spate of suspension, or a year or whatever it was ago, spate of suspension started happening. Sammy Guevara probably on his second suspension at that point because he was winding up Eddie Kingston, or who was it who called him fat on a promo? And then ended up with a fight.
Like that.
And then like Andrade was having some issue with somebody and blah, blah, blah. And everything was just left to fester. At least this is a little more proactive than it was last year or the year before.
Yeah. But see, I've said that their best stuff comes out of the dressing room. That's their best stuff. And they leave it up to the damn internet guys to stir it up. And everybody reads it, but then they go back on the show and they talk about something else. I think they need to get one of these. They need to read. They need to invent something that happened in the locker room, and this could be it. Happens in the locker room, and the internet gets it. The internet guys get it, and of course they blow it all out of proportion. But then they take it to TV and see what happens. because the work's already done. Okay, say take pro football or soccer. Let's say take. You know who the bookers are in that?
The fans?
The writers. The writers.
Football?
Yes. Oh yeah. Say they got a deal.
Oh, the sports writers. I thought you meant
the sports writers.
Right, I thought you meant script writers.
They are the ones who write it, and they report it, and so you got this major story. So whether it's written or whether a guy's a sportscaster on TV, he's putting it out there. That's the angle. And so they go with that. And probably every big game has a little bit. They got to win this. They got to win this or they're out. They got to win it. So now, they got to, and it's true in the statistics, but with the sports writer pushing it, it becomes very important. It becomes the overriding factor into whether to watch the game or not. But that's what I like about AEW, which they have the background stuff that they write in these, what they call dirt sheets, actually takes precedence over what they do in the ring. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, Britt Baker tweeted this on August 6th. You ever heard a rumor about yourself and actually wanted to hear more? Like, no way. What did I do next?
That was a great tweet. Yeah. Oh, I'm interested in this now. I did what? Oh, I can't wait to see what I'm going to do next. That was great. That was really good.
Very briefly, Mike Johnson of PW Insider reported a number of people were dismayed. The story even leaked, feeling it didn't help anyone that it did. Well, of course it doesn't. No story from the backstage ever seems to help AEW. It always seems to be bad. But it's great for us. Dave Meltzer then also reported that a number of people he spoke with in AEW were largely sympathetic to Britt Baker. One more thing, Baker commented, this was last year. I think it was in character, but you never know when. I read that too, that all the people that he had talked to, which means more than one, that they're all sympathetic to Britt. What does that mean, really? MJF has that much heat? I was interested in that. Maybe he does. I mean, maybe his on-screen character that he has no friends. I don't know.
I don't know either.
So in an interview with DAZN, this was like last year, this is when MJF and Adam Cole, who was Britt Baker's husband, were teaming together, and then it culminated in Wembley, says, I think one of Adam's fatal flaws is that he's too trusting, he's too optimistic, he sees the best in everything and everyone, and that's wonderful. I wish I was more like that, but you also have to be realistic and realise that there are giant pieces of shit out there that disguise themselves in a Burberry scarf.
That's great. That's great. Okay, so now the story gets a little deeper. Her and Adam Cole broke up, and I think MJF was instrumental in that.
Oh, you think that'd be a good story? You think?
No, well, it's there. They're talking about it. So she's blaming MJF for the breakup of her and Mr. Cole. And she did call him an unsavory piece of shit. That's not good. So she doesn't like him anyway.
Maybe. Well, we've given them good ideas there. Well, they stole my idea from last week, so you never know. They might steal that one as well. We're going to move on.
What idea did they steal?
Oh, Bryan Danielson putting his career on the line against Swerve Strickland at the Wembley show. Anyway, movie news, which I know we don't really do movie news, but it sort of makes sense in this one. Ben Affleck is to play Hulk Hogan in the upcoming biopic Gawker.
Gawker?
Mm-hmm.
Gawk?
Mm-hmm.
ER? Gawker?
Yeah. So, Gawker is... I've got it all written down, I'll just read it. So, for years there have been reports that Chris Hemsworth was going to be playing Hulk Hogan in a Netflix biopic. I mean, you saw the photos. He was like pushing the big tractor tire and that kind of thing. Anyway, but then Hogan talked to a friend of the show, Chris Van Vliet, and he said there was a situation where business-wise Netflix kind of like missed the dates, as far as a business situation. So I had the choice at the time to switch gears. So basically, Hogan is now claiming that he pulled the plug on it last year. But a different biopic is coming out now, reportedly in the works, featuring the immortal Hulk Hogan's battle against Gawker. the former muckraking celebrity news website that you and everyone will remember of a certain age, I guess, unless you're too young to remember.
I thought I recognized the term Gawker. It was a dirt sheet.
Yeah, basically.
But it was a publication. Oh, I got it.
So they were the ones who published the Hulk Hogan sex tape. And that's where the trial happened, etc., etc. So, from Variety, a film about Hulk Hogan's infamous legal battle against Gawker is officially in the works.
Is this the one where he was having sex with that lady?
Certainly was, yes. Bubba the Love Spooge.
They published it.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
So
I've been sending them tapes like every month or so, and they've never published any of my stuff.
Yeah, well, Gawker's been bankrupt for ages. You need to get updated.
No, I was sending them that stuff back when the Huck was fresh. They hadn't even been sued, and I was trying to see if they'd put it on so I could sue them.
Why not? Who would have filmed it for you? Howard Stern.
It's a Lawler.
Lawler. Why, has he already got the equipment?
Oh, he already got it. Yeah.
Good man. Right. A film about Hulk Hogan.
It was narrated by Jimmy Hart. Hey, baby.
Yeah. Give her one. What's it? Poo-poo.
Yeah, he used to call him by poo-poo. I love you, poo-poo. When I'd go to hit him. Now, who can hit somebody hard and they just called you poo-poo? Go ahead.
Who would have been the woman?
Oh, I don't know. That could be anonymous. It just
blur her face out.
Yeah, we'll have them.
So, Artist Equity, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's production banner has acquired a screenplay written by Charles Randolph and based on the Ryan Holiday's book Conspiracy, Peter Thiel, Hulk Hogan, Gawker and the Anatomy of Intrigue. So, the project titled Killing Gawker is in active development, and Gus Van Sant, who previously helmed Affleck and Damon's Good Will Hunting, great film, Good Will Hunting as well, is set to direct, while it's been rumoured that Affleck will take on the role of the controversial wrestler. No casting has been announced at this time. So you know the story about Hogan. He won $140 million from Gawker and essentially bankrupted the website.
Well, I don't think he got $140 million. What do you think he got?
It's a good question, because you can just declare bankruptcy, or if you don't have it, only pay partial. He
may not have got much. Period.
Well, the interesting thing is, so the name Peter Thiel, he is a billionaire who, several years earlier, before the Gawker trial with Hulk Hogan, or Terry Bollea, was outed by Gawker as gay. And he very much resented Gawker making that announcement. It turns out that he was the one bankrolling Hulk Hogan throughout this process. And that brings up its own controversy.
I thought Peter Thiel did that.
Yeah, he did.
Is that who we're talking about?
Yeah. Why? What did I say? I did say Peter Thiel, didn't I?
No, you said something else.
Okay, well, Peter Thiel's the one bankrolling Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
So that's where the controversy really comes in. Is it right for a billionaire to have a vendetta with a journalistic...
now, listen, I think our society is in bad trouble when we start telling billionaires who they can get mad at. I mean, that's too far. I mean, that's just going too far. Let them get mad at whoever they want to. And even Hulk Hogan will support this feeling we have that if a guy gets hot, and let him do it.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing in the public interest, isn't it? Because
yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Because obviously, there's journalistic integrity and like shield laws and stuff like that. Obviously, not in this case because they lost. But the public interest. Yeah, people are going to be interested in seeing a Hulk Hogan sex tape, but does that mean it's in the public interest to publish it?
Is that what they said? It was in the public interest?
That's what they always hide behind. So Peter Thiel outing him as gay, that's in the quote-unquote public interest.
Well, I don't know if it's in the public interest, but the public was interested in seeing it. I don't know if it's because I wanted to see it myself.
I never watched all of it, or I thought I'd see more. Maybe I didn't watch all of it and just turned it off. I think I was just too depressed to watch that.
And this is Bubba the Love Sponge. It was his girlfriend, right?
It was his wife at the time. He was in the office
Really?
round the corner, yeah, in the same property, and just said,
But he said it. But he knew what was going on.
of course he did, yeah.
Oh yes, but he got nothing, right?
Well,
or did he get something?
What would he get?
I don't know. But if he got if Hulk got any money at all, which I don't know what he got, would he cut Bubba in on it? He ended up.
No, they fell out over it because he didn't know he was getting filmed. This is all covert.
Why was it? How did he end up getting the tape?
Good question.
Didn't Bubba sell that tape to Gawker?
Must have done. Must have done. Or through like a third party who shit. Because apparently there's like a pornographer, like a celebrity pornographer, who actually specializes in celebrity sex tapes and farms it out to different companies to try and sell them. And apparently I think that was the case with this as well.
But I'm gonna go a step further. Did Hulk know that he had the tape?
No, he didn't know he was even being filmed.
Okay, but after it was filmed, did Bubba let Hulk in on that he had the tape? It was recorded.
I don't think so until it was being threatened to be broadcast or published.
And did he offer to say, listen, I'll let you have this for X number of dollars?
Yeah.
No.
It's like, why hasn't he been arrested? What are the laws in Florida as far as recording somebody without their knowledge in your own home?
I don't know. Would have to be a federal regulation. I don't think the state would have any special regulations on that. I think they would just go with I don't know, tell you the truth. Hey, we can call up our lawyer.
Yeah, we've got a lawyer.
Mr.
What's it called?
Burbrower, Adam Burbrower. We can call him up and ask him.
Yeah.
Next week we'll have an answer.
I want an answer next week on that. Yep. I absolutely do.
We may even have to bring him on the show, maybe.
Does he specialize in this kind of thing?
No, but he's a lawyer.
Yeah. He can research.
Nothing else. He can make something up.
Okay, Ben Affleck as a choice to play Hogan. What do you think?
Sucks. What does... he doesn't even look like Hulk. I guess they can do the makeup and do all this. You're going to have to go to the gym and start working out. You know, he's getting divorced from his old lady. What's her name?
J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez.
J-Lo, yeah. He's getting a divorce from her. And I've seen pictures of them together. They don't look happy at all. So then I hear they get a divorce. So, and how long has that relationship gone on, off and on?
Oh, I
20-something years?
Yeah.
At least. Anyway.
Who would you prefer to play Hulk Hogan then? I mean, like as an established actor, not like Randy Hogan.
The first guy that they had, Hemsworth, is that his name?
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth, for the Netflix thing.
I think he may have worked. And that other guy, Jason Momoa, you have to change his hair and all this. I don't know, but he's got too much of a look for them to even resemble Hulk, tell you the truth. But I don't know.
So originally a guy called David Harbour, who was in Stranger Things, Quantum of Solace, Revolutionary Road, Suicide Squad, etc., was slated to star as Hogan, but apparently it's going to be, could well be Ben Affleck. I said, because this came up on the Stevie Richards show that we recorded yesterday, it's out on Friday, I mentioned that the guy from Jack Reacher, but the Amazon Prime series Jack Reacher, he would have been good, because at least he's got the size and the deep voice.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen him. He would fit. I think they're better off using a no-name and let this be his reach for stardom. I think you better go with not an established actor, but a newcomer and see what happens.
Did you ever
be a lot cheaper?
Yeah. Did you ever meet Randy Hogan, the jobber from WCW?
Oh yeah.
Him. He could do it. He'd be cheap.
Oh yeah. Got the voice.
I've got a photo with him in Jim Cornette. He's like 5'6". There we go. Just shoot.
Hey, some of those guys that do the Hogan impression, Oh,
Steve McMichael, Mongo, Hall of Fame, NFL, Pro Football Hall of Fame. So this, I can't remember where I
do you have a
copied this
picture
from.
of that of him laying on the bed?
I can put a photo of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you want me to show it now, or do we just do it for later? Or
No, yeah. If you're going to put it in, I'm going to talk about it because I saw it.
okay, I'll do it now.
Okay.
One sec. Okay, so this is off ChicagoBears.com. I muted it.
Wow. To me, that is just is it was a good thing that they did this for Steve.
I hate to
but
see him
he looks so bad there, and I mean it's a depressing picture to see, and I can see why they did it, but it's just. And the Football Hall of Fame did it. He deserves to be in the Football Hall of Fame. I agree. But it was just sad to see. It really was. And some people were calling it a pity induction. It wasn't. He was a great player. Is he in the Wrestling Hall of Fame?
Oh no, he was a terrible pro wrestler.
Doesn't matter.
Well, but the thing is, he was a great promo. In fairness, that people forget, he was a really good promo. He could never do the in-ring stuff, but
No.
He was a great character.
When did that hold people back?
Exactly.
And hey, look at some of the guys you've had in the UK. What was it? The two big guys, Haystacks or whatever. Or what were their names? The big
they
guy.
were magic. Yeah, they were magic.
What were their names?
Giant Haystacks and Big Daddy.
Yeah, they drew a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
See?
Oh yeah, they were bloody awful.
Could they wrestle?
Oh god, no. They could barely get in the ring.
That's what I'm saying. That's not a prerequisite to being
with old Steve McMichael. We've seen that was really terribly suffering with ALS. I believe in America it's called Lou Gehrig's disease, named after a baseball player. You must have met Steve a couple of times, or at least I know you were in the company with him. You were there in TNA when he turned up once, and you were there in WWF when he turned up once.
I was there in TNA when he turned up. I just met him, said hello, and that's all. I didn't know him as anything other than just meeting him.
He was also at WrestleMania, that WrestleMania in Connecticut, where Lawrence Taylor beat Bam Bam Bigelow. He was there as well. I think he was at like a Raw, the one before as well. So you've got no personal stories about him at the very least. His pro career. I don't know if you're ever a Chicago Bears fan, but
I do. Yeah, I remember when he played, and that was a famous team. William Refrigerator Perry. Because I remember him because he played at Clemson. Clemson's my team. I grew up about 15 or 20 miles from there. So, and when Clemson played, big deal. Everybody would. And I remember going to Clemson games. Guess what I would get in for?
Go on.
10 cents. Because, if you played like any kind of football on any of the say 8 to 10 or 10 to 13 or the age groups, if you wore your jersey, you get in for 10 cents. And I would go down there and they had a big stadium then, but they was only putting like, I don't know, 10 or 15,000 people in there. It had like a 40,000 seat stadium then, and the stadium was empty basically. So I'd spend the whole game going up to the top, and then I'm going down to the bottom, and I was running all over the stadium instead of watching the game because, Clemson lost most of those games back in those days. But it was fun to me. But what were we talking about?
It's fine. Steve McMichael.
Refrigerator Perry. That's why I got interested in Chicago Bears.
Yeah. What was it, 85 they won the Super Bowl? I've seen a documentary on him.
Something like that.
Yeah. So you hinted before, some people say it was a pity induction.
Yeah, that's what
But you disagree?
Well, the guy who was making the comparison, he disagreed. And I agree with him. I just didn't, I was more sad when I saw it than I was happy for him. But they only give him like 3 years. But this was like 10 years ago, or say 7 years ago. But he's outdone the prognosis by 4 years. Now they're saying that he has only hung on this long because of his induction into the Hall of Fame. And so if we hear within the next month or two that he has passed away, now we can give that a little more credibility. Yeah, he did hang on till he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I believe, it made it was a huge deal to him. He can't do much. He's like under 100 pounds now, but he can still hear.
And he was a great player. And he probably played at about 270, 260. So him being down to 100 pounds is just pathetic.
With that being said, this is the first time that they actually, like the Pro Football Hall of Fame, actually left. Actually left the building and went to a person. So they did a huge, they definitely went out of the way to make him feel special. I think that's a great thing as well.
They did.
Right, we're going to move on. We've got a couple more things, so I'm going to shut down this podcast. Odyssey Jones debuts finally. So NXT star Odyssey Jones, who was drafted to WWE Raw in 2023, finally made his main roster debut when he assisted the New Day in winning their match against the Final Testament. That is sort of like the Judgment Day sort of knockoff with Killer Cross and the Authors of Pain. And then later in the show, Kofi Kingston says he brought Jones in to help with the New Day, and Xavier Woods sort of goes, "Oh, good." But you can sort of tell he's really disappointed.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're sort of like splitting up the New Day finally after like 10 years or so, which is a pretty big deal. So anyway, Odyssey Jones' debut. What do you make of him?
Okay, what was his first name? What they call him? Cannonball? No. What do they call him?
Ooh, Odyssey.
Something Jones.
Odyssey
Jones. Well, my first thought about him, he's a big guy. He weighs well over 300, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is he close to 400?
He looked to be in the 350 range for me. He's a big old fella.
Well,
405 pounds they're billing him at. 6'5".
He's a big guy, a really big guy. But he's almost too big, to tell you the truth, to draw any money with. And I hate to see these big guys come in. They're pushing for a while, and I don't know what kind of personality he has. If he has a personality, maybe he'd do something with him. And I've said this forever: if they can't talk and they don't have a personality, he's just another big guy. Now he's competing now with who's the other guy they're pushing as the heel? He just worked with Seth Rollins. What's his name?
Bronson Reed.
Bronson Reed. Okay. And if you have these really, really big guys, I don't know who you're going to put them with, to tell you the truth, because the WWE is now they're down to more, and they've been going this way for a while, the more athletic types that can move. And if you even look at Logan Paul, he didn't have any wrestling experience at all. And look at how he's caught on. He's a natural. I think he could do this, whether he had been a big star before or not, but he can do it. Plus, what's the most that stands out about him? His personality. Mm-hmm. He can talk. And you want to slap him half the time, but you enjoy listening to him. And that's what it takes. Now, this Odyssey Jones, I hope he's not a case that I'm talking about. He makes a big impact starting out, but then they lose sight of what they're going to do with him. So we will see, but I hate to see if you have too many of the big guys, the big guys are drawn naturally because of their size together. and he may not be able to have a good match with another big guy. He'll have a good match with maybe some guys who can put over his stuff, but this is a gamble. So, and how long has he been in the business?
2018, and he went straight to the Performance Center from there. So he's a WWE original in that sense. I'm looking at photos of him. He's built like Mark Henry. This dude.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Mark. I was thinking the same thing. He's a Mark Henry type, but Mark had a little more of a background. What's this guy's background?
Okay, so he was the high school thing we don't care about. He was at Syracuse University. He joined the roster of the Syracuse Orange, playing 36 games as an offensive guard. Until, how many times we heard this story, suffering a lower leg injury during his senior year in 2016. Then a couple of years later, he had a tryout with WWE, and this is where he is now. Very strong guy. Apparently he's set, because WWE do these combines now for the NXT tryouts and training.
Big business.
Yeah.
You know how many they get there sometimes? And it's not
free.
No kidding. It's like $3,000 to $5,000 a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you get 100 guys. Hell, that's $150,000. No more than that.
Yeah. Hey,
300,000.
Hey, it's not bad to just yell at people, and open up the gym for a couple of days. It's great. He set an 800-pound trap bar deadlift record at the Combine in 2019 when he went there again. Because you mentioned Bronson Reed, we're going to go on to that next. So you saw Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed's just been middle of the pack guy, basically.
Yes.
Since he's been in WWE. Nothing overly outstanding, apart from the fact that he's always been good. But this is the first time he's really, really been almost smashed over, and over someone established.
That means
as
something.
Well. Exactly. So tell us what you saw.
Seth Rollins.
What you think.
Oh well, for him to get on that top rope and do that, I don't know what he calls it. I call it the belly smash, I guess.
They called it a tsunami.
Oh well, that's a good name for it. It really is. But for him to get up there and to do that, he's a good athlete already, you can tell, because guys who are not athletic, they can't do that, nor would anybody allow them to do it to them. Now, I don't know if Seth knows this guy or not, but if I saw him and he's 350 pounds or whatever he is, and he wants to do that to me, I'm going to say, no. Not no. What's my saying? But hell no.
Do you know? I know you're going to say something, but that's a good question you just brought up there. If Seth Rollins knows him, and that's a really risk. Taking a risk like that, it would depend on whether you knew the guy or not. Knew them personally. Did you find that in your career that you would let people who you at least knew personally do more to you than?
I would.
Maybe not a stranger, but yeah.
Well, I knew how they work, but see, I would think with Seth at this point, Seth don't know him from Adam's house cat. And to let that guy, and just a little mistake, not catching yourself. It's almost a half inch could be the result of an injury or not. That's a lot of weight, and gravity shows no favorites. You're coming or you're not. And if you're out of place, you could cause your own injury, but it's a dangerous move. It really is. So when people thinking, oh, I can do that, I can do this. No, you can't do it, because even though you're not making a move, you're taking it, which is the most dangerous time. It's when you're taking the move, because then you're out of control. See, the wrestler's motto is same as the doctor's. I've said this before: do no harm. And like we were talking about earlier, Nia Jax, she got the reputation for being careless and, just hurtful. And I think Bailey called her out on that, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that was her reputation. So people then they were afraid to take any of her stuff because, and she's a big girl, and I'm sure she's not as athletic as the guys are. That's not being misogynistic. It's true that guys, I think they're better athletes than the girls are, especially when they get up to that super heavyweight size. So I don't know. I hope he does well, but I was going to compare him to Odyssey Jones. They're two big guys, both coming in. And I think you can do it with one guy, but trying to do it with two is a repeat. So I wish they hadn't brought them in at the same time. Yeah. I really, I don't see this. I think it will do more for the guy that worked with Seth than it will with Odyssey Jones. I really do, because people know Bronson. Yeah. And they don't know Jones.
Yeah, he was with WWE from 2019 to 2021, and then he was released during the COVID cutback era. Then he went to Japan for a year, and he was in Impact briefly, then picked up back by WWE in 2022. So this is really his first big shot. But the execution of the attack on Seth Rollins, I take you approve of, because if you're going to do it against someone established and really mean it.
Well, they did a good job. This is what I don't like, is sometimes they run in all the agents and all, but they don't do anything. They're just saying, they're standing in front of me, get back, don't do this, don't do that. They don't grab him or anything. Not even the security grabs him. Or they didn't grab him. But then he went back in there and did it 3 more times. And I heard that he was spitting blood after the attack. Mm-hmm. And I've spit blood before. That's from a pretty good, it's from the lungs. And it didn't kill me or anything, but you have blood coming. So it's not, I think he needs to get that checked.
See, I watched it and I presumed it was a blood pack.
See, you are ruined. No, seriously, you can spit blood up and just taking a bump if you land wrong. See, if you take a power bomb, if you land too high up, it can hurt your lungs, or not puncture your lungs, but you can end up spitting blood, which I did, not from taking a power bomb, but.
You'd never take a power bomb, would you?
Hell no. That's for those wussies, guys.
Right, we're going to move on. Our final story of the day and of the show. Bryan Danielson gave an interview. Just before we talk about that, there's a quick update. Vince McMahon's motion was denied regarding blocking Janelle Grant's request for medical record information. So, we talked about a few weeks ago.
Okay, wait a minute now. And tell me this again. She subpoenaed the court to block her medical records.
No. She was requesting medical records. And Vince tried to block it, and the doctor tried to block it.
Yeah, and it got overruled.
Yes.
So we can see her medical records now.
Well, she can see her medical records, whether she wants to make that public or not, I guess.
Okay.
It's up to her.
I got it.
Anyway, elsewhere, Bryan Danielson has discussed his feelings on Vince McMahon, but also hints at the future. And you've been asking this for a long time, and I've been very interested to know the real story of this. We may have an answer. Of the future of John Laurinaitis being part of his extended family, because as I'm sure you'll know, or most people will know, that the Bella twins, their mother, and I can't remember what her name is, married late in life John Laurinaitis. So anyway, there's not a lot I want to say about it, honestly, other than because it's
I want to say one thing before you go.
Okay.
She met John Laurinaitis. Did they warn their mother about his reputation?
I wonder about that. Maybe
they know, and he's hit on them. He has.
Yeah.
And he's hit on every other girl because he's the one recruiting them. So did they tell the mother about he's hit on them? And I'm not saying it positively happened, but from what I hear about John Laurinaitis, nobody has any reason to lie about it. Because when you go into a pro wrestling dressing room like WWE, you know, if it's not true, they don't tell you. They said, "Oh, let me tell you about Laurinaitis." Yeah, well, it don't have anything to do with me, but still, I'm hearing wind of it. So I'm wondering if when he met the lady, the mother, and I'm sure she was there just to come to see her daughters, and that's how that Laurinaitis met her, and he got to talking to her, and one thing led to another, and they got married. How long a time period did you give that? Have you heard? Did you hear that when he was dating her? Or
no, I think this is something that was more on like Total Divas, because he used to be on Total Divas, like with John Cena and Bryan Danielson and various others who were married, Tyson Kidd and stuff.
Yeah.
To who were in there, but yeah, he was on Total Divas and Total Bellas, especially when as one of the characters, basically. So they've been married for quite a few years. Anyway, this is what Bryan Danielson said. There's not a lot I want to say about it, honestly, other than because it's not just Vince McMahon piece, it's also my father-in-law, maybe ex-father-in-law, as far as that kind of stuff goes. Well,
ex-father-in-law. So it's not going too good.
I don't think she took it that kindly, did Bella Senior.
Well, I think any other woman would have already divorced him by now, even if it wasn't true. But I'm sure it is true.
She's called Kathy, by the way. I just wanted to get an actual proper name out there, for goodness sake. So yeah, Kathy Colace. I can't pronounce the name. Anyway, so you think of somebody in some way and then something happens and it changes, and that's always hard. But like I said, as hard as it might be for me emotionally, it's way worse for people who've been victimized by people in power. One last quote. If Nikki and Brie want to talk about it, they can talk about it, Danielson said. This should be a core tenet of everybody, is to not, if somebody is willing to tell you that their feelings of something that's really hard, it's not your place to tell them to tell everybody else. So yeah, if they want to talk about it, they can. That's not my jam. So It's been hard on the Bellas, it's been particularly hard on the mother, and maybe an ex-father-in-law, according to Bryan Danielson.
Well, I think he handled it well. I do. Because everybody can understand that. He cannot say anything openly for publication that gets out. He may say the wrong thing, or it could be misinterpreted of what he said. And then he's in a family fight. So yeah, he handled it the right way, not only for the interview, but I think he handled it the right way as far as family is concerned. So I don't think the relationship between John and his wife is going very, very well. I think any wife that got that information, and they all know about Vince too. I mean, that's common knowledge within the corridors of Stanford and WWE headquarters, what Vince is like, common knowledge. And I don't think it's going very well for them. So, but we'll see. Here's the question. Do you think they will remain married, even though it goes and it's thrown out?
Do you know, women are a funny animal, aren't they? I mean, there's so many. There's a load of nut jobs who write to like multiple murderers in prison and try to think they can change them. So you never quite know, do you? It might be obvious to us. Of course, you must divorce this scumbag.
Now, what does a man in prison have to do with Kathy Bella?
What I'm saying is, there are some women who think they can change serial killers, and then they write to them. And, that kind of thing.
They do. But again, say she was trying to change John Laurinaitis after her daughters, I'm sure, told her about his reputation. But now, after let's say she did try to change him, say she does love him, and she has tried to change him. Now this news comes out. So apparently, whatever she was doing didn't work. and he's the old John of before, like when she met him.
Well, I think it was very telling that Bryan Danielson said potentially ex-father-in-law.
Yes.
So obviously there's stuff in the works there.
I'm going to go out. I'm going to go out on the. I won't go out on the limb too far, but I'm saying they're not going to stay together.
No, I think he'll be announced before the end of the year. I think that's going to be my.
Is that your statement?
That is my statement, and I'm sticking.
Mark it down, folks. He says by the end of the year. What are you saying? They'll file for divorce?
Yeah, they'll file for divorce. But on that note, we're going to shut down. We're going to file for divorce from this.
Hey, I was just getting started.
Hey, well, we've got another hour to record for Ask Dutch Anything, which is coming out this Tuesday. Let me tell you, everybody, and to contact us for questions, submissions to Ask Dutch Anything, you write to us at questionsfordutch@gmail.com. But until then, Dutch, we'll see you on Tuesday. We, the people.
We, the people. Hey, if anybody wants to write me, Dirty Dutch Mantell with 2 L's at gmail.com. And this is about the veterans. I'm kind of trying to take up for them because we can give immigrants all kind of food, and we can give them a debit card, and we can do this. But what are the veterans getting? They're sometimes just relegated to the streets and however you can get it. So folks, if you're going down the street or see some guys just down on their luck, if you can, and you see mostly guys, you don't see a lot of women, but if you can spare $1, $2, $3 or whatever, or you got a coupon, help those guys out, because you don't know what they are, and you probably don't even want to talk to them. I don't blame you, but these guys are down on their luck. Most of them, I would say a good percentage of them are ex-veterans who VA has even refused to help. So if you can help them, I'd really appreciate that. So like James says, we'll see you next week. We, the people.